Hi, I'm Shonda Ramsey, your host and fellow indie author. Are you overwhelmed at the thought of publishing your book by yourself? Has fear kept you frozen in place, unable to write even the first word of your book? Not knowing the steps you need to take shouldn't stop you from writing. That's why I've asked for help from some amazing industry professionals, published authors, and others who are in the same situation as you to share their knowledge on the self-publishing process. Welcome to Dear Indie Author, where we inspire creative independence in every writer. Hey everyone, I am here with my friend Adrian. Adrian, I would love to get started with some icebreaker questions. Are you ready for those?
I'm ready.
All right. What is your favorite thing to do in the summer?
Hike and camp.
Hike and camp. Love that. What was your last vacation?
My last actual vacation with no work involved was a cruise to Alaska with my family. It was a gift to my dad years ago. We finally all went.
That sounds amazing. That would be wonderful to go to that. What did you want to be when you were little?
I don't remember having one particular thing like a policeman or fireman or anything, but I believe it was something within the entrepreneurial world. I
Yeah.
did grow up in an entrepreneurial family, so I didn't have one thing, which is maybe a little weird.
I don't think so because I was the same way. And I also grew up in an entrepreneurial family. So maybe that's the key there. We just know.
Yeah.
We just know that's what we want to do. What is your favorite book genre besides your own?
Self-help, some
Love
type
that.
of self-help
Yeah.
world. That's what I read the most of right now.
Yeah. What is your favorite writing place?
My desk in the morning with a cup of coffee.
Mm, Gotta have the coffee when we're writing.
Yeah.
Definitely. How do you start your day?
I am a big fan of The Miracle Morning. It's a Hal Elrod's book and movement. So I start with my version of his Miracle Morning, and it's every morning super early. So meditation, some type of exercise, movement, incantations or affirmations, some type of meditation, visualization. And then I add some other things in there, but that's how I start pretty much every day with some variation of that. It may not be an hour, it may be 3 minutes,
Yeah,
but I don't miss it.
that's awesome. I like that. How many emails or texts do you send in one day?
Oh, probably an embarrassing amount of huge. I don't know, and I actually don't think I want to know how many. A lot.
Now I have to confess I picked this question specifically for you because of your profession. So I
Yeah,
figured it
it's a
was
lot.
going
And
to be a big
I
number.
also do some business stuff after hours, but I don't want to encourage that or
Yeah.
even give people permission to message me back. So I'm a big fan of the scheduling
Hmm.
on emails, and the iPhone is coming out with it in a few months, I believe, which I'm excited about.
Yeah,
So
so you
I will
can
write stuff up and then maybe even copy and paste it in. But yeah, it's I send emails out in a blog format and I unsubscribe from tons of them. So
yeah.
I'm a little contradicting there. I'm like, yeah, listen to my emails, but I'm not going to unsubscribe from yours
I totally
because there's so many that
understand.
come in. You don't have the bandwidth.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always too many. Are you a Mac or PC person?
Ooh, I love this question.
Mhm.
Both. I still do have a desktop in my office, but when I finally made the switch over to a MacBook Air almost a year ago, it was a little painful learning it, but I absolutely love it. And I
Yeah.
just won't get rid of my desktop. I don't use it much because it's there. I'm not going to sell it for much. It still does some purposes.
Yeah.
But man, I've had an iPhone for a long time. When I went to the MacBook, I finally understand it.
Yeah. It all sinks in.
Yeah.
It's
And it's
wonderful.
one of those, I think almost every person that's converted over says, I wish I would have done it sooner. And I
Mm.
agree.
Yeah, absolutely. What is your pump up song?
Ooh. I don't have a particular song, but I do like very fast beat instrumental. So
Hmm.
that could be like an electric violin, drumline music, some type of techno, no words, but something very fast beat like that is that's what I listen to when I'm writing or just like you
Yeah.
said, needing some energy.
Yeah. Love that. What did you do before real estate investing?
My biggest thing I did because I jumped around a lot of different places is I was in event marketing. when you go to an event, there's someone with like a 10-foot by 10-foot tent and they're giving you a free sample of something.
Yeah.
I ran those for different Fortune 500 companies around the country. So
That's
it was
really
in the
neat.
marketing world.
Yeah, that's really neat. I like that. I actually designed for marketers, so totally love that world too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it. Love that. What is your favorite writing snack?
Coffee. I
Yeah.
actually write much better on an empty stomach. I don't drink black coffee. I drink more of a foo. I put basically bulletproof, so some ghee butter in it.
Mm-hmm.
I use Element. It's an electrolyte packet, some vanilla stevia. When I want to treat myself, I'll put some heavy whipping cream and cacao powder,
Mm-hmm.
and then I blend all that up, so it's almost a meal.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Kind
I
of a little
like
protein.
a fasted stomach and coffee, and I'm focused.
Perfect. Love that. What is one word to describe your book?
The word that first came to my mind, inspirational. Even though I think if I thought about it, I would have gone with something else.
Yeah. No, but
But
that's very good.
inspirational or how to. You said
Yeah.
one word, so I'm gonna go with inspirational.
Inspirational. We love that. All right. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. I'm Adrian Smude. I'm originally from Plant City, Florida, which is in between Tampa and Orlando. We're the winter strawberry capital of the world. I had a fun real estate investing career of starting out as a terrible tenant. I have eviction notices for spaghetti wrestling parties, mud wrestling parties, pudding wrestling parties. Basically, don't rent to Adrian and his friends when we were 20 years old. But that led me buying some houses. I switched over to the mobile home niche, and then there's a lot of mobile home investors out there, but I'm just a little bit louder and I talk about what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what kind of led me into the educational world and eventually led me into writing a book. And now I actually live in Denver, Colorado. Never, ever thought I'd leave Florida. Like not even Florida, like Plant City.
Yeah.
And so I don't say never anymore
Yeah.
because now I live halfway across the country and love it.
Where there's snow and not palm trees.
Yes, but something I do like about Denver, Colorado, and it's a little bit in the outskirts, is the snow melts really fast. It doesn't
Mm,
stick around.
that's
Like
awesome.
I always had a negative perception, like I don't want feet and feet of snow, and so you kind of get the best of both worlds. A few days later, you can be in shorts and a t-shirt again.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Can you give us a brief overview of How to Buy Mobile Homes, your book?
I wrote it in a story format of my journey, starting out as the terrible tenant,
Mm-hmm.
up through and a little bit past the time where I enabled my wife at the time to quit her job at 29 years old. So it's a story, and within that story, I teach about mobile homes. So I tell a story about what we bought and then learning lessons, and then throughout it, you're getting actually how to buy a mobile home. So it's a how to, but that's where the inspirational came in. That it wasn't a goal, but I had a lot of feedback from people and people that weren't in real estate say that it's a really inspirational story. And then I started thinking about, well, that is the process. That was the easiest way for my brain to write it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that. I like that you were able to put self-help and inspiration in it because it is kind of an unlikely pairing, but it sounds like it's been really successful for you, which is really awesome to see. What motivated you to write this book, and what do you hope readers will take away from it?
So the motivation, it was on my crazy goal list for a long time because it was something I never thought I would do. And I thought it was something most people would ever never think I would do.
Mm-hmm.
I was in remedial classes all through school. And to kind of give you an example of why I thought this when I was writing it, I told one of my elementary school teachers that I see at yoga a lot when I am
Mm-hmm.
in Plant City. I am writing a book, and I'm probably the last student you ever thought would write a book, and she was silent. And so I did not ask a second time. But
Yeah.
it was a lot of it was because I didn't think I like to do things that people don't think I can do. And then there is the other piece that I wanted to help other people and get it down and pass on education. So those are like there was a combination of different reasons why, and writing was used to be very hard. I learned how to truly write by writing my book.
That's
So I
awesome.
learned a ton
Yeah,
through
that's
this
awesome.
process.
That's pretty neat. So it's kind of like one of those you were the underdog that you weren't expected to do something like this, but you did it anyway, which is betting on yourself. And that is pretty awesome that you did that because some people They don't get that far. They give up before they even see through it. Um, your book covers a wide range of interesting topics, from wearing neon yellow to a goat teaching you a lesson. Can you share one of these unique stories with our listeners?
Oh, picking one story. So let's just go with the neon yellow one because that goes on some marketing as well. I originally picked my shirt. So my original shirt says "My wife buys mobile homes," and it was like a greenish yellow color. And I picked it because I like to be different,
Mhm.
and I wanted people to come to me instead of me have to go to them whenever like approaching. So it was a marketing tool,
Yeah.
and it caught on. And I tweaked it a little bit, and now it's a bright yellow shirt. My education, when I switched or started that business, not switch, when I started that business, it's lifestyle REI.
Mhm.
But then I started researching even more. Well, the color is happiness and joy
Yes.
and sunshine. So I was like, okay, good. 'Cause I started learning about colors, and I got a little worried that mine had a negative kind of, attachment to it. And I like, well, that's part of my vision. I love being happy and helping other people be happy and inspirational. So it checked there. And then I became just kind of known as this guy that always wears neon yellow. Nowadays, it's kind of catching on as a trendy color,
Yeah.
but it wasn't so much. I got made fun of oh, you're easy to find in the store, or you're a safety cone, or a construction worker. My friends had all these jokes with it. But branding wise, which was not my goal at the beginning, which I do understand why it is so important. Now people think of me when they see yellow.
That's awesome. That's really
And so it's
awesome.
been a great branding. So that's why the book ended up being yellow. And if you
Yeah.
look at it on the shelf with tons of other books, you're probably going to see it easier. There's not as many yellow books. So
Yes.
it stands out there.
Awesome. I love that. It's like a walking billboard that just kind of keeps on speaking, which is really cool. I also
Exactly.
have to say, so I am a graphic designer and I specialize in branding. And so to hear you say that you actually looked up the color meaning just makes me so happy, because that is something that I always try to teach my clients to do too is, color does have so many emotions that it evokes, and you want to make sure that you're putting off the right one. And so yellow, definitely you hit it right on the head. That's exactly what yellow is. Pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
And, when I was first told that stuff, I was like, I don't really care. I just want to do this. And luckily, I wasn't overly resistant because in the big picture, it has helped me immensely
Yeah.
that I listen to someone like you about you've done all the research. Why am I going to try to reinvent and think I know
Right.
more?
Yeah. No, it's awesome. I love that. You went from being an evicted tenant to a successful real estate investor. Can you share more about how this shaped your approach to real estate?
Well, I understand residents. So I call my tenants residents.
Hmm.
I understand them a little bit more, and because I was a really bad one. Uh, and in coming from that, I was able to, I'm the guy next door.
Yeah.
It's a hard question to fully answer. I'm just the person next door. I say just because I don't believe I'm that special. I just didn't give up,
Mm.
and I kept taking action.
Yeah.
So I relate with people that live in my homes, my mobile homes. I grew up in an entrepreneur family. I blue collar. I like to have gardens and
Mhm.
pets and animals, not just a cat and a dog, a goat, a pig, chickens. Well, a lot of the people live in my homes like those. So
Yeah,
it's easier to relate to them and understand maybe even what they're going through, because entrepreneurship has ups and downs.
it does.
So we can have those conversations. I think it's just been relatable is the answer.
Mm. I like that. That's actually hard to find sometimes, so it's really great that you are someone that's relatable with everyone you work with too. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced in your real estate career, and how did you overcome them?
I think the biggest challenge was actually thinking that I knew it all or I had a right plan,
Hmm.
because that prevented me from asking for help sooner
Mm.
and more often. And I still get into that sometimes. And I'm like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I should ask for help. I have a lot of friends that want to help me. I'm in mastermind, so I pay for people to help me. And I still
Mhm.
sometimes don't ask for their help. And even so nowadays, I'm much better at that I think I have a good plan, but then I just present it. I'm like, well, do you see anything wrong with this? And a lot of times they're like, no. I'm like, good, okay. But before, I would have never asked that, and then they could have easily poked holes like, oh no, I did that before. You're definitely gonna have
Mhm.
a problem here.
Yeah.
So just thinking that I know it all, or being embarrassed that I didn't know it all.
Hmm.
So there's in those around, I just hurt my growth and my ability, and I also rob people from being able to help me.
Yeah. So that's awesome that you recognize that too, letting other people use their gifts and talents to help you along the way too. I think that that's a beautiful thing. Collaboration is one of my favorite things to talk about too, and I think that that's really important for especially for entrepreneurs and the success of
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. So it is hard to ask for help, but it's great that you're starting to do that more. You teach around the country and are involved in several mastermind groups. What do you enjoy most about teaching and mentoring others in real estate?
Seeing them make a deal, use something that I taught them, gave them, and it bettering their life. Usually it's within real estate, but I've had people tweak their morning routine because
Mm,
of something we talked about. But
yeah.
just seeing the light go off or hearing about the how it's improved their life. One of my favorite stories, Kerr got to drop down from active duty to reserves, where she only works a few weeks a year now, so that she can bring her daughters to school
Wow.
in the morning.
That's
And like
awesome.
that's worth so much more than any of these other things before she couldn't. Like
Yeah.
that lights me up still today after a year ago that she was telling me about that. That keeps me going and lights me up because there's some frustrating times that
Yeah.
the majority of people don't do anything with what I teach. But then you have those other people and it just, yeah.
I think that is pretty common. A lot of us sometimes too will try to learn something new, but then we never apply it. I don't know why. It's not I don't think it's anything we mean to do. We just never apply it. It
Yep, I'm
happens.
still guilty at times.
Yeah, me too. What was your writing process like for how to buy mobile homes?
It was not every morning, but I set certain days of the week. I don't remember honestly if it was 1 or 3 days. I know it was somewhere in that range. And that was my first thing in the morning. So part of the miracle morning is writing,
Mm,
scribing, if I didn't
yeah.
mention that one earlier. So I started with that one. So I got up, I did a very light stretching, got my coffee, went straight to my computer. Didn't touch anything else, and I just wrote. And I went until it kind of just stopped flowing. So sometimes it
Mhm.
was 10 minutes and sometimes it was 30. I did
Mhm.
have the days that I pushed and just still sat there, even though
Yeah.
nothing was coming out
Same.
and super frustrated
Hmm.
because I didn't want myself to be able to get in a habit of, oh, it's all I did 5 minutes, that's enough.
Yeah.
But it was just sitting there in that silence early morning. So before the phones, even if I did look at my phone, there was nothing there because no one else was up texting me and calling me. People couldn't get a hold of me. And I sat back in my chair, legs up on the desk, screen there, and I actually rotated that side to side sometimes just because you're in one direction.
Yeah.
And I just typed, didn't edit. I just typed.
Awesome. I like
Yeah.
that. Just type. The need to self-edit is always it's so challenging, right? So
Yeah.
just typing
Oh,
is great advice.
real quick, I did forget actually, there was a whole step before that I should mention because mine is a how to. I did spend probably 2 months literally going through all of the deals I've done. So I had data to go back and look at. And I'm like, okay, I want to talk about this. Which purchase did I have that teaches that lesson?
Hmm.
So then I can just go back and pull the data instead of having to research and find it and pull it from different files.
Yeah,
So
you
I
had that
reviewed
first.
everything. So just sitting there, which actually taught me a lot about my business.
Yeah.
And then I did have a little bit of a mind map. The mind map was difficult for me. I did learn how to do it through the
Hmm.
process, but honestly, that was a difficult piece. As I wrote the book, actually, I started editing the mind map and learning how to use it better. But I got a little stuck there, so I said, I'm just going to start writing.
That's pretty neat. So you did all your research first, so you had it. It's kind of like when you do an outline too and you do your pre stuff. That's all part of the pre-build before you write, but then you can sit down and write and have all your data, which is great. It's always awesome to do that. I've talked to people who've done both. They've either done that before and had it, or they've totally just skipped that step and just tried to wing it through the whole thing. And I think it's pretty neat to see how people fall into that, which category they fall into. You discovered you were dyslexic while writing your book. How did this impact your writing process and your view on your achievements?
It impacted, it gave myself a little bit of grace,
Mm,
not an excuse, because I don't like using it for that, but just some grace of like, hey, it's so incredibly difficult for me.
yeah.
Like it's been frustrating. Yeah, like I said, I was in remedial classes and they just had like a big box. They called it slow learning disability. So they just essentially, you don't learn the same. Here, you're in a
Hmm.
box.
Yeah.
And then as I learned that I am dyslexic, it just kind of like, oh, that's why all this has happened in my brain. So a lot of it was a grace. And then once I got over I think embarrassment's the right word. It
Mm-hmm.
is, because I would be embarrassed when I would mess up something on social media, like spelling,
Hmm.
which still happens so much today. And I
Yeah.
can proofread it like 4 times. I'm like, how did I not see that?
Yeah.
Well, when I just accepted it and started talking about, well, I am dyslexic and I still was able to write a book and buy
Mm.
mobile homes, it just brought the power back to me. And I'll say release most of the embarrassment. It still sucks when I misspell or twist up some words that are just like kindergarten almost.
Yeah.
But I still did it. The old saying, if I can do it, so can you. I use that a lot, and not to poke fun, and just I just pushed through something that was difficult. And I started learning a little more about there's a lot of CEOs that are dyslexic. There's a lot of very successful people. And one of the theories are is because school was really hard for us.
Hmm.
So we got like the common term is grit, or just like
Yeah.
we just started understanding what suckiness felt like.
Yeah.
So when you go into business, it's not a new thing. That suckiness of pushing through and going and going and going.
You're
We just
used to
kind
it.
of grew up with that.
Yeah. You're used to it. It makes you more resilient.
Yeah, I
What,
like the word resilient.
yeah. What advice would you give to an aspiring writer who might be facing their own personal challenges?
To write about it, actually.
Hmm.
So write about that challenge. You don't have to publish, put it out there in the world.
Yeah.
Just write about it, because I think writing is a very therapeutic manner. I write a lot now, and
Hmm.
some of it's just for me, therapeutic wise. So I would do that and then just take the action on it. There's a lot of hard times in writing. At least it was for me.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to anyone that was just like, oh yeah, that was the easiest thing ever on their first few books. Yeah, the people
Yeah.
that have done 70 books, they're in a whole nother world.
Yeah.
So just push through it, ask for help that we talked about earlier, and
Mm.
tips. I know that just listening to everyone that you interview, you're gonna eventually hear, oh yeah, they talked about the exact same problem I had.
Hmm.
My problem's not that special. I have a coach that likes to say that. It's like, your problem's not that special. A lot of people have the same challenge as you.
Mm.
So,
That's an interesting concept, isn't it?
yep.
It definitely pushes you to do it even more. Your story emphasizes the if I can do it, so can you. Can you share more about this belief and how it can inspire others to start writing regardless of their starting point?
Just to keep pushing through. I kind of said this a few times, I feel like now, but
Hmm.
it's it sounds very simple. It's very difficult in the moment. And I I'm not that special. I'm not. The thing that's special about me is I don't give up very easy.
Mm.
I'm stubborn, which means I don't give up
Yeah.
very easy.
Yeah.
And I want to prove people wrong, which is a little bit in the ego world, but I use it, I think, in a healthy way to drive me forward and to just keep pushing through. It does get easier. It's just
Mm.
the waves of it. And every time for me, it is a little bit easier.
That's
So
great.
push through and then prove people wrong. And then that inspires other people. That is part of your message.
Mm.
I did not think writing a book was going to be giving a message and inspiring people, well, on a podcast like this, or
Yeah.
talking about being dyslexic. I When I'm bringing it up in audiences, I always have someone come up to me and talk about how their struggles of being dyslexic.
Mm.
That is like a side effect that I get to help people with, which is never in my vision of what I was going to be doing.
It's pretty neat though, because when you think about it, part of dyslexia is, the letters, right? They change, they look different. And so when you're talking about writing your book, I can imagine that if you're someone who has dyslexia, that you would be intimidated to write your book. I would think that that would be very difficult.
And I purposely left some grammar errors. I tried to find a low amount. So like
Mhm.
people like my little brother, if grammar is not perfect, he annoys him. It's not a good book for him.
Yeah.
But I wanted to purposely put it there because I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
And so it would kind of like fit the personality of it. And I want it to be okay to not be perfect. I will say that when wrote, sorry, I read my book
Hmm.
as an audiobook, and that is the toughest speaking engagement I've ever had because I can speak forever, but reading, as you said, it's very difficult. And
Yeah.
that was just, but I wanted to do it. It was important to me to read it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty neat that you did that. I like that. For those who are interested in writing a book, especially in the nonfiction genre, where would you suggest they start
Their own story,
their
whatever
story?
your own story is, you know, it's easier to write about that. There's something inspirational and teachable in your own story. I,
Mm.
I know people all the time say, oh, well, no. What you find to be very easy, there's a whole set of people that's very difficult to
Mm.
for. And I'll give you a
Mm.
very funny one is I believe there's a skill set of knowing how to Google something to just type it in. And I know that because I have friends that can look something up and have the answer in 20 seconds. And I don't even know what words to put into Google by that point. I'm still
Yeah.
struggling what to even type in, and they already have the answer. They already found the right link. It sounds so simple, but like I'm a type of person. I know there's more of me
Hmm.
that struggle with that. So there's something you're great at and use that as your starting point.
That's awesome. I like that. Especially because we often get scared to share our stories. So that's great advice. You mentioned that marketing and getting reviews are crucial for indie authors. Can you share some strategies that worked well for you in these areas?
I'm promoting my book almost to an annoying level. And I even joke around about that. Hey, I'm back with another reminder, or and I was not ashamed and still not today. I will personally message anyone that talked about buying my book. And it happens when anyone says they got my book, I tell them I would love to hear your biggest takeaway. I would love to hear your biggest action items, something in that world, because I'm truly wanting their feedback.
Mhm.
And then when I get it, I go, well, would you mind just copying and pasting that over to Amazon? It means a lot to me and it helps other people. I believe a lot of people want to give reviews. They just forget, they get too busy, or they get intimidated and scared to do it. So just make it super easy and simple. And then follow up, follow up, follow up. And marketing, if I just said, buy my book, and that's all I did ever,
Yeah.
you get bored of me.
Yep.
But if I take a picture of it in front of a beautiful waterfall, you're like, oh, you have their book. It's a little more interesting. I keep my marketing, my personality, but I pretty much always have my book with me. It's very rare I don't. We talked about I love to hike. I
Hmm.
keep a book in my hiking backpack and I go take pictures with it in beautiful places and different sceneries. So it gives me a different way to market it without just saying, buy my book, buy my book. Like no one
Yeah.
wants to hear that every single day on social media.
Right.
And letting people be part of your journey helps them want to promote you as well. That has been a lot of good feedback for me of getting my audiences what they want,
Hmm.
but they're part of my journey. Like they want to see me succeed, which also helps me like elevate. Like I have to do really good because people are counting on me.
Yeah.
But then they tell people about it.
That's
It's the
awesome.
relentless of that, and it is work. I mean, I spent on my launch week. I think I spent 3 or 4 hours a day personally messaging people. So I had the mass email stuff that I did all of that, but then I just personally messaged. I had a whole list, Facebook message, text message, whatever it was. Called them up and said, "Hey, I really need your help here."
That's
And we're
awesome.
scared to promote our stuff like that, but that's
Yeah.
why it's important to be proud of your book and it be your book, not the book that you think I want, because then you're not so proud of that. If it's your book,
Yeah.
you're super proud of it, then you understand people need it and want it.
That's awesome. I like that you had the confidence to do that because I know me personally. So I'm in a launch week right now, and it is so intimidating, like just to reach out and be like, would you please read my book?
Yeah,
It's so hard.
it is. Now like actually yesterday I read a friend's book. He asked me if I would read it, and I knew I didn't have time to,
Yeah.
but now I understand how incredibly important it is.
Yeah.
So I was able to read at least part of it to give him, hey, here are my thoughts, and then helped him out with it. But you find those people that will help you, and I love the fact that I get to help him out. He emailed me back almost right away. He's like, "Thank you for being part of my author journey." He's on his third book, and
Wow.
like that just feels so good that like
Yeah.
this guy's already written 2 books and he's thanking me.
For helping. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
pretty awesome. That's
but
special
you have
for
to think of
sure.
it in that manner. Like if you don't ask people, like they can't be thankful for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's another thing too, especially when we're sharing our stories, right? In a nonfiction
Yeah,
setting too, just finding the right people to help with that too is sometimes challenging. I always fall into that category of I feel like I've beat it over the heads of my family and friends so much. Like, you've got to kind of think outside the box a little bit too and start tapping into other areas. And so I think just reminding people it is okay to reach out via message. It is okay, especially if they're followers, especially if they're engaging in your content prior. You can absolutely reach out to people. I think that that's really important and helpful in the long run. Are there any upcoming projects or initiatives you're excited about sharing with our listeners?
yeah. No, I have a class October 11th and 12th in person, which I haven't done one in 2 years in person, on how to buy mobile homes. But it is
Nice.
a more advanced version of the class. So, fun little fact: my finished outline mind map for my book ended up being the pretty rough draft, well done for my original course that I did. And now I'm
Wow.
doing an advanced version of that course. So essentially, from now till then, I am laser focused on that of marketing. Very similar to what
Yeah.
we just talked about for the book. Marketing, marketing, it doesn't
Yeah.
change that much.
Yeah.
And so it's exciting to me because I get to, I will say, skip the very basics of it and get higher level.
Nice.
And so a lot of that's fun for me.
That's awesome. That's exciting. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience or any final thoughts you'd like to leave them with?
To take massive imperfect action. My late friend Bill Murillo always taught me that. So it's taking action, and when you say imperfect, that means you are planning to fail.
Mm.
So I love John Maxwell's book Failing Forward. So if we're
Mm-hmm.
planning to fail, we fail forward, and then I added the piece on, then ask for help.
Mm.
We talked about that already. So
Yeah.
when we plan that way, I have found that to be true with every super successful person I've ever studied. I haven't found one yet that doesn't fail, and they fail forward, ask their group for help, and just keep doing that. And that helps get that momentum moving, especially on those stuck days and those hard days of writing the book. But it'll get you further, faster.
Love that. That's amazing. I would love for you to share the letter that you wrote to our audience as we close up today's session.
Dear indie author, I know writing your book is very important to you, but it's more important to your reader. Every day you wait to get started is a day your reader has to wait to hear your story. Your book your book will change lives even if it's as small as a smile, which is actually a huge thing to give someone. I'm not going to lie, there will be tough times while writing your book, but you'll push through. Some quick tips are: find your best time of day to write. For me, as I mentioned, it's in the morning with a cup of coffee. Do not edit as you go. You could even try turning the brightness all the way down on your screen
Mm.
to help the words just flow. Some days you'll be impressed with how many words that flowed through your fingertips and the keyboard. Some days you'll be not so happy, you'll have some writer's block. But focus on the accumulation of your writing. It's not the one day accomplishment. Start telling people about your book now. This will help keep you accountable, but also your friends and family will get to go along your side your journey and cheering you on. By the way, this is great for marketing. Now, The cover is important first impression. So I'd suggest finding someone who can pull out the perfect cover for you. Yes, the cover is for marketing, but it's important that you are proud of it. I'm excited for you and thank you in advance for bettering the world with your book.
Hey everyone, it's Shonda Ramsey. Are you looking for the perfect holiday gift? Look no further. I have 3 incredible book bundles just for you. First up is Bundle 1, Anchored in Faith. This bundle has just enough to get someone started, including the authentically anchored book and companion workbook, along with a few extras. Next is Bundle 2, Anchored in Love. This bundle helps someone dive deeper in their faith, the ultimate act of self-love. It includes the authentically anchored book and companion workbook, along with even more extras. And finally, don't miss out on Bundle 3, Anchored in Creativity. This is the ultimate bundle for those ready to go all in on their faith and creatively rediscover their authentic selves. It includes the authentically anchored book and companion workbook, along with most of the companion products. Head over to shondaramsey.com to grab your bundles today. These are the gifts that keep on giving. Merry Christmas! Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Shonda Ramsey. For the show notes and links, head over to shondaramsey.com and don't forget to join in on the conversations on Facebook. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a show and write a review where you listen to podcasts. Until next time, always remember, every writer deserves to see their words in print.